Hello, everybody, and happy March 5th to those of you that celebrate. We're back with another episode of Baseball Buddies with Pat and Jeff. You don't like that intro?
Uh, it was fine. You didn't know where you wanted to go, so you went there. I appreciate it. You're good at here's what you're good at. Here's what you're good at. You're really great at, if the sentence is going, you'll get to the end of it in a semi-creative way, at the least, to finish your thought off. I appreciate that. It's talent.
Thank you.
You should be a color guy.
I was going to comment what I was bad at. I've been doing a lot of editing on the podcast here on the Barker Ball Media Network, both for Baseball Buddies with Pat and Jeff and the Specific Johns podcast. And I've had to go back and listen to a lot of these and critique myself. And boy, do I not recommend that at all. I don't think anybody should try to get better at anything ever. Ignorance is bliss. And listening back, boy, there are certain things I wish I could change about myself. But what are you going to do?
God, I wish I knew what those things were, but that's like we would have to do a whole podcast just on that, I feel.
I'll tell you off air. The problem is if I say them here, then people will listen to the podcast. And if they didn't notice these things before, now they will notice them.
And now they're thinking about them. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. So if you know what those things are, keep them to yourself. Don't say anything. Let the
I
other
disagree.
people.
Any activation in the comments is good. So if you are trying to pick out what Pat is bad at, throw it in the comments.
You're not wrong. I am supposed to tell everybody to make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell, and leaving the comments really does help in the algorithm. So I will do my best to not read those comments, because if it is the things that you hate about me that I already hate about me, I already know. I'm good.
And for me, I'm like you guys fucking suck us all the way to the top of the algorithm. I don't give a shit. So get at it.
That's true. It's good to be back in the official Barker Ball studio here, no longer in the Burbank airport. I had a heck of a week traveling back east. I recorded our podcast in the Burbank airport. I recorded my other podcast in the basement of my brother's new house, which is not finished at all. It was just straight up in the boiler room, looking like Mankind at SummerSlam 96, I believe.
Getting thrown off the top of the cage, baby.
Exactly. That's when he was just a weird guy who talked to rats. If I remember right. But thank you to everybody who watched last week's episode. I had to get creative with the ending because we got cut off a whole bunch trying to record at the Burbank airport. The bottom line is we tried our best. We got something up. I hear this thing is all about consistency, so we're going to try to not miss any weeks. We're going to try to not be late at all. And sometimes that means you have to cut off the ending Sopranos style because there is no ending that actually got recorded and uploaded. So this week should go a lot better. Knock on wood.
And we got banned in Russia last week. Is that right?
We were banned in Russia. Yeah, because I did do the, Don't Stop Believin' ending. The Sopranos thing. If you didn't watch it, with about 30 seconds left, I started playing that behind me talking. And people who listened thought it was good because they thought it was playing on the background at the airport. And then I did the Sopranos thing where right when it cut out, the song. So I tried to have fun with it. And as a result, we did get banned in Russia, which I'm fine with.
That's okay. Yeah. I don't think our fan base is in Russia.
No, I don't. And
maybe. Yeah.
Oh, we're big in Slovenia. There's no doubt about it. The surrounding areas, I want all you guys. Ukraine, Kazakhstan. But Russia itself, if we can't play Journey, then we don't want any parts of your country. No offense. Jeff, how are you, bud? How are things going with you?
Not too bad. I had a weekend with the kids. My wife went out of town. She was actually in Los Angeles while you were gone. And she had herself a nice time. So I was just me and the kids. And my stepmom came to be like, while I'm working, there's somebody here to watch, the kids. But then my stepmom got sick. So that all went out the window. And so it was an up close and personal weekend with my kids. And I threw every idea at them I had. It was like I was a divorced dad that made good money, you know? So it was like, hey, we're gonna go to the Museum of Play this day, and now we're gonna go to a trampoline park, and you kids are gonna have fun, despite what I'm doing to you emotionally
Sure.
and what our divorce is doing to destroy to destroy your family, to destroy our family. So anyway, we had a good time. They were great, and everything's back in order now. So feeling good, feeling good. How about you? How was the trip? How was the week?
It was cool. It was great. The roast of New Jersey was excellent. People asking where can I watch that? Probably nowhere. It was never intended to be a TV thing. We did it for the 100th anniversary of the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. But there were cameras everywhere, so they were filming in high def. So I assume some clips will pop up somewhere. But we had a really good time with that. I got to go speak to several senior classes at my old high school. And
Why?
what?
Why?
Because
Why did they let you do that?
other than Joe Flacco, I'm the most successful person to ever go there. I don't. What do you mean? Why?
I'm
Everybody I
not
graduated
laughing
with
your high school. This is just great.
everybody I graduated with became like a roofer with a pill problem. You know what I mean? Like, who else are you gonna have talk to the kids?
Oh God.
So it was fun, but I think I might have gotten the teacher fired. I haven't heard back yet, but yeah, it's a thin line to tread because I'd love to go in there, and every class was 40 minutes long, and I wanted to just go in there and be like, hey, I went to school here. I sat in your seats. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Now I live in LA and I'm not killing it, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm making my living as a TV writer. I've done some cool things. You guys might have heard of some of them, maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing. That's what my story is. Do you guys have any questions? And then they were like, nope.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, I got 38 minutes left. What are we going to do? So it was an English teacher, and he was really curious about the art of roast writing. And sort of, he wanted to get into the nitty gritty of the double entendres and the puns and all that kind of stuff. He wanted me to roast him, which was fun. And then that got the kids going. And then they're like, roast that kid. And then they're like, roast that kid. And I'm like, I can't roast the kids. And then, they push your buttons enough and a good joke pops in there and you're like, well, I'll say this. And then next thing you know, you're roasting children. And I did. The first two, I spoke to three total classes. First two classes, I crushed. Everybody left there feeling, everybody had a great time. And
No.
the teacher was very happy with it. And then the third class, we got interrupted by a fire drill almost immediately. That's hilarious. In your 40s to be like, I'm standing outside with a bunch of 17-year-olds at a fire drill. And then we went back in and nothing was hitting. And I was doing the same kind of material, a little bit risque for, let's put it this way. All it would take is one of those kids to be like, telling their parents and being like, yeah, this guy came in and he said X without context, and someone could get in trouble. But it won't be me. I already graduated. What are you going to do to me?
Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah, dog. You still run that school. You still run them hallways, baby.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. They should give you they should put you, they got to put a picture of you in the trophy case. They got a trophy case over there or what?
They do. Surprisingly big trophy case.
Because of Joe Flacco, obviously.
Because of Joe Flacco. Yes.
Yeah.
It
Makes
does
sense.
suck to know that no matter what I do, I'm only playing for second place at Audubon High School.
I don't think that's necessarily true. You don't think you could beat out Joe Flacco?
Super Bowl MVP and about $200 million worth of contracts? No. No, I do not.
Well, you're a shining light for the kids that have no athletic ability whatsoever.
Thank you. That's the vast majority of people in the town I grew up in. But enough about me and enough about them and enough about, frankly, anything except for Major League Baseball. We're here to talk baseball. That's what we do on Baseball Buddies with Pat and Jeff. And that's what we're going to do again today. We got some interesting things to talk about. We're at sort of a fun inflection point in spring training where it's been going on a couple weeks now. You've had a chance to see, your players in limited duty. You've had a chance to get way too excited about things that are good. You've had a chance to get way too worked up about things that aren't going so well. And now a lot of the best players are going to leave their teams to go join their WBC squads. In fact, as of this recording, the U.S. is already playing exhibition games. The Dominican Republic, Japan, Shohei and the gang are already back in Tokyo preparing for pool play over there. So we're going to talk a little bit about spring training. We're going to talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic and kind of everything in between. Jeff, where do you want to start today?
Yeah, look, I happened to cross this list on ESPN.com. Ever heard of ESPN? And they came out with a list of the top 100 players currently in baseball right now. I thought it would be interesting to kind of go over the top 20 in this list before, because you're right, and in that this week is kind of the week you get like really excited for early spring training storylines. And I feel like next week would be closer to a week when we can start talking about like, hey, I don't know, this guy's hitting the ball harder than he used to, or like maybe we talk about some guys that we could see breaking out this year and make this list next year. Here, we've got the top 20, and I just wanted to get your temp on this top 20, see how you feel about it, see if you feel like anybody's missing. Is anybody too high, too low? So I'm going to rip this off real quick. I'm going to give you the top 20 right now. Give me some thoughts, and we'll go from there. So we're starting at number 20 with Ketel Marte, the second baseman, the wonderful second baseman from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Number 19, one of your guys, Christopher Sanchez from the Philadelphia Phillies, the starting pitcher. He had a wonderful year last year. Number 18, Corbin Carroll. We'll be seeing a little less of him this year because of his hamate bone. Number 17, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Obviously the hero of the World Series last year. 16, Francisco Lindor, just one of my favorite players in the league. Number 15, Kyle Tucker, the new Los Angeles Dodger. 14, Fernando Tatis Jr. of the San Diego Padres. 13, Gunnar Henderson from the Baltimore Orioles. 12, Jose Ramirez, third baseman for the Cleveland Guardians. 11, Vlad Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays. 10, Ronald Acuna Jr., a lot of juniors, from the Atlanta Braves. 9, Julio Rodriguez from the Mariners. 8, Garrett Crochet. I've heard it said both ways. You know what? We're going to be a crochet podcast.
It's crochet. Isn't a croquette like a...
Listen, I've heard it both ways. We're going to be, I'm just going to tell you from now on, we are going to be a crochet podcast. I am going to be a crochet sayer of his last name. That's just what's going to happen from here on out. Okay.
All right.
Number 7, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh from the Seattle Mariners. Number 6, Paul Skeens, the electric pitcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Number 5, Juan Soto of the New York Mets. Number 4, Tarek Skubal from the Detroit Tigers. Number 3, Bobby Witt Jr., another junior from the Kansas City Royals. 2, Aaron Judge from the New York Yankees. And, of course, sitting at number 1, Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Where are you at on that top 20 there, Pat?
There were a few things that jumped out at me. I'm going to start with one that I don't care to defend that fervently, so let's just get it out of the way. Juan Soto was 5?
5.
And Skeen 6, Raleigh 7?
That's right.
Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs and was basically a platinum glove level catcher last year.
That's right.
And listen, I don't expect him to repeat that, certainly, but again, the guy broke all sorts of records, and he controlled one of the best pitching staffs in the game. Juan Soto is a subpar defender who walks a lot and hits like 35 to 40 home runs. Not saying he's a bad player by any stretch, but to pretend he is better than Cal Raleigh right now or Paul Skeens, who is arguably the best pitcher on earth, I don't buy that. I think there's always a tendency to overrate Soto a little bit, and I'm not disparaging him at all. He's a top 10 player. He's just not. If you want to say he's better than Raleigh because Raleigh only has 1 year like that under his belt, okay, fine. Skeens, he's not better than Skeens right now. That's crazy. The next one I wanted to talk about, Ronald Acuna Jr. at 10, is a little bit nuts to me. And I just think we need consistency on these lists as to how do we treat injuries.
Mm.
And I don't want to make this into a Phillies thing. Obviously, as my squad, I could talk Phillies all day. But I've watched Bryce Harper fall down all of these lists because he's been unable to stay healthy. On the basketball side, I watched Joel Embiid fall to, I don't even know if he was a top 100 player this year. Different people making the list, obviously, but when we're looking at Ronald Acuna Jr., this is a guy who had one absolutely unbelievable electric season in 2023 and one very, very good season in 2019. And in between then, he's been hurt every year. Every single year. Last year, he had, let me see. I looked this up before. Last year, he played in 95 games. The year before that, he played in 49. He's torn both ACLs at this point. 82 games in 2021. He's only played over 120 games twice in his career. I don't think he's a top 10 player at this point. I find that a little bit ridiculous that you can have a guy coming off of 2 seasons where combined he didn't play 150 games. And you're just going to gift him the number 10 spot, while at the same time not having Zach Wheeler on the list, who has been arguably the best, most consistent pitcher in baseball over the last 5 seasons, because he is coming off of an injury. Get it, I understand, and he's going to miss the start of the season. So might Corbin Carroll, who is also on the list at 18. I just think there's not a lot of consistency across the board with injuries. Obviously, when healthy, Acuna is an outstanding baseball player, but he's been hurt more than he's been healthy for the duration of his career. So I take issue with that. But the one that really jumps out at me, those first two, I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever. Where was I when we had the meeting where we started pretending that Kyle Tucker was Barry Bonds? When did this happen? I am perplexed. I don't understand the $60 million a year. I don't understand him being ranked ahead of Francisco Lindor.
Yeah.
Really? What are we doing here? I brought this up when you were talking there. Kyle Tucker versus Francisco Lindor, and then you could throw Corbin Carroll in there too. If you have those 3 guys, Kyle Tucker had the highest on base percentage of the 3, and he had the highest OPS plus. Every other single category, he was beaten out. Lindor beat him in WAR, games, plate appearances, hits, homers, RBIs, batting average. Carroll had him in homers, stolen bases, slugging, on OPS. I just don't understand what world we're living in where we have agreed to pretend that Kyle Tucker is better than he actually is. He is not the guy everyone is pretending he is. And am I wrong here? Because every single time I see people acting, I feel like I'm on the Truman Show. I'm like, everybody's in on the bid except for me.
No, I love this. Okay. So we didn't plan to do this at all, but now that you brought the thing that I was looking at, that I was like, oh man, that seems weird and seems like it's going to be out of place by the end of the year. It was 15 Kyle Tucker, right? Here's what I want to do. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the list, and I want you to stop me when you're like, put Kyle Tucker there. All right?
I love this, and by the way, he is also not better as a hitter than Yamamoto or Sanchez was last year. I didn't include them in the comparison because they're pitchers, but he should not be ahead of any of those guys. So go ahead.
Okay. All right, so here we go. All right, Kyle Tucker or Francisco Lindor?
Lindor.
Okay. Kyle Tucker or Yoshinobu Yamamoto?
Yamamoto.
Kyle Tucker or Corbin Carroll?
Carroll.
Kyle Tucker or Christopher Sanchez?
Sanchez.
Kyle Tucker or Ketel Marte?
This one's close, but due to position,
I don't think it's close. I think Ketel Marte is a vastly better player than Kyle Tucker is.
Okay, I would say even if it was close, position takes Marte over the top for me.
The only thing that you would be able to say about Marte where you would bring him down a little bit would be that he's not on the field all the time, but he's still on the field for 590 to 650 at bats every year. Right. And so everything else about him, it's a better bat. It's a better glove. He could tomorrow go to right field and play a better right field than Kyle Tucker. All right, here we go. Kyle Schwarber or Kyle Tucker?
Schwarbs, come on.
Kyle Tucker or Pete Crow Armstrong?
Tucker.
Okay, there it is. So he should be like around number 22 on the list.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think so, and I think PCA's ceiling is certainly higher. But I think based on the second half that he had, I would just feel a little bit more confident in Kyle Tucker this year than PCA.
The thing with PCA is like if you were going to do it with like an all-encompassing metric like WAR or something like that, it's a lot more interesting discussion because the glove is so preposterous for Crow Armstrong that he makes up so much value. But I think it's an interesting conversation all the way down to like next on the list is Junior Caminero. Like that dude's a monster. 24 is Ellie De La Cruz. Like get the fuck out of here. Mookie Betts or Kyle Tucker. Like Trey Turner or Kyle Tucker. Logan Webb or Kyle Tucker. William Contreras or Kyle Tucker. Nick Kurtz. This 29 Nick Kurtz, 30 Pete Alonso. I'm like, there is where Kyle Tucker should be. Somewhere in there.
I agree. He fits a lot more to me in the back end of the 20s, front end of the 30s than he does at 15. I'm wondering what it is that I'm missing. Because even like Acuna and Soto, I took exception with their spots, but like, I'll be the first one to acknowledge when they are on their game, there are a few players you look at and you're like, I'm going to tell my grandkids that I got an opportunity to see them play live. Not one person on God's green earth is ever going to sit their grandkids down and be like, let me tell you about the time I saw Kyle Tucker go 1 for 3 with a single and a walk.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
No, it's just not happening. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So for me, the list, there was a couple things. Number one, I want to start with this, and I apologize if I'm offending you in any way here. Chris Sanchez was excellent last year. One of the best pitchers in baseball. Already at 19, over his own teammate, Zach Wheeler, it's a bit much for me. I love him. He's great. He's going to be great again this year, and then I'm going to look stupid. But already up there, little high. All right. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that out there. I like that you didn't even try to defend your boy there.
I was looking up his stats because I didn't want to misspeak. The season before, 31 starts, 11-9 with a 3.32 ERA, made the All-Star team. Certainly took a big step forward last year, but he has had 3 seasons in a row of at least 18 starts and an ERA under 3.5. So he keeps getting better, but it's not like last year was his first year. But I get what you're saying.
I'm just saying last year was the first year you could even call him a top 20 player in baseball.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Right. Okay. All right. The other ones, you kind of referenced this a little bit. I'm going to kind of go the other way here. So number 16, Francisco Lindor. Okay. Right ahead of him, Kyle Tucker. We already said fuck that. Number 14, Fernando Tatis Jr. over Francisco Lindor. Get the fuck out of here. Number 13, Gunnar Henderson. Love Gunnar Henderson. Love him. Get the fuck out of here with him being ahead of Francisco Lindor. That's nuts.
All right.
That's nuts to me. Then we can stop. All right. We can stop right there at number 13. Then we get to number 12. And I am going to pitch a fit about this until my dying day. Jose Ramirez, the guy currently in the MLB who most deserves a statue from their home club, the Cleveland Guardians. Jose Ramirez at number 12. I love Vlad. Below Vlad is nuts. He's better than Vlad. He's better than Acuna. You get to Julio Rodriguez. There is not a more fun player in the game than Julio Rodriguez. He's better than Julio Rodriguez. Jose Ramirez is a top 10 player, man. I don't know. I'm not going to necessarily put him in front of Garrett Crochet, newly named Garrett Crochet, because Crochet was absolutely awesome last year. And I totally understand him being like, if he's healthy, he is going to be an ace. He is going to be a top 10 player. Can't put him over Cal Raleigh, but like the consistency that we are getting out of, I feel nobody knows anything about Jose Ramirez because of where he plays, and he just continues to consistently be one of the best player, like a perennial MVP candidate. I was disappointed with him at 12. And like, look, I love Vlad. I love Acuna. I love Julio Rodriguez. I love all those players. And I know like Julio Rodriguez glove and center has to be factored in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But god damn, man, like there is just nobody. There's one team in baseball, like it feels like third base is just like such a shit position these days. And there's like two teams in baseball that can be like, we have that fucking guy and he's excellent. And they're one of them. It's like them and the Padres. And then nobody else likes their third baseman.
Well, I went ahead and I did this because it was interesting. First, I just had two of these guys, and then I decided to include the three. I have Jose Ramirez, who came in at number 12 on this list, Gunnar Henderson, who was 13, and Francisco Lindor, who was 16, right? And I did the stat head comparison. I'm going to give you a statistical category. You have to tell me, of those three guys, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez, which one led the three players last year? You ready? WAR.
Francisco Lindor.
Barely beat out Jose Ramirez, yes. Games played.
Ooh, that's probably Jose Ramirez.
Francisco Lindor.
Okay.
Hits.
That's got to be Jose Ramirez.
Francisco Lindor.
Shit, here we go.
Home runs. These are all very, very close, by the way, with Lindor barely beating out Jose Ramirez. Home runs.
Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, 31-30. RBIs.
Must be Francisco Lindor.
86-85. Stolen bases.
I would go Jose Ramirez.
Jose Ramirez, 44. Batting average.
I would also go Jose Ramirez here.
Ramirez, on base percentage.
I would also go Jose Ramirez here.
Jose Ramirez, slugging percentage.
I kind of want to say Francisco Lindor.
Jose Ramirez.
Okay.
Which means OPS is obviously.
Yep, it's Jose Ramirez.
How about OPS plus?
Is it Jose Ramirez?
Jose Ramirez. 11 categories. Lindor leads in 5. Ramirez leads in 6. Gunnar Henderson, goose egg. Goose egg. And I understand, I guess part of this list is theoretically you're projecting Gunnar Henderson to take a step forward based on his age and maybe those guys to take a little step back. And I understand some of it's predictive in nature. But yes, Francisco Lindor is better than Gunnar Henderson. And Jose Ramirez is underrated at 12. I wanted to say that he's a top 10 player. The problem is it's just like, who do you knock off that list? But you made an excellent case. It is amazing how he continues to be. Usually guys are underrated until they're the consensus most underrated player in the league. And then they become properly rated, or sometimes even overrated. It's amazing how Jose Ramirez has been underrated. Everyone acknowledges he's underrated, and yet still somehow he's underrated. It's wild.
He's a 30-40 guy, and nobody gives a shit about him. And he's also in that category of like where you're like, yeah, that guy stole 40 bases last year, and then you look at him and you're like, that little fat shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's great.
And landed one of the two best MLB knockouts of my entire lifetime.
It's right. I forgot about that. He can scrap.
Dude, he knocked Tim Anderson's baseball skills out of him like fucking Sonic coins. This is a true stat. You ready for this?
All right.
I think it's true. I saw it like a week ago, and I didn't actually fact check it, but I want to believe everything I read on the internet. So I think it's true. If it's not, it's close. How many home runs did Tim Anderson hit after he got punched in the mouth by Jose Ramirez?
30.
0.
Nuh-uh.
That's what the meme said. And if you've ever seen a meme lie, I would like to know when, because I haven't.
Oh God. You know what? That's just going to be true. Just as Garrett Crochet's name has been decided on this podcast, it has been decided that any home run that Tim Henderson did or did not hit after he got clocked in the temple by Jose Ramirez does not count.
I mean, look, I'll say this. He was an all-star in 2022 for the White Sox, even though he only hit 6 home runs. So he fell completely off middle of the season. 23 in 500 plate appearances, he only had 1 home run. And then in 2 more years for Miami and the Angels, he didn't have a single home run for either team.
Well, that might be absolutely accurate then.
I think it might be accurate. And not only that, it might be based on like 600 plate appearances, no home runs. That's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, good arguments. I don't disagree with anything. Was there anybody else that you wanted to cover on the list?
No, I mean, like once you get up into the top 3 are very easy. But I mean, you're splitting hairs if you're like, well, I would take Skeens over Skubal, which I would, but like, if you're gonna put Skubal over there, like, what are we gonna do? I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine list that'll mean nothing and be completely different next year. And I'm excited to talk a little bit more next week about some players that could be added to this list, or maybe are in the back of this list that can move up to the place we're talking about here.
Well, let's talk a little bit more extensively about the number 1 player on that list. I don't think any of us would have any argument against him being number 1. Shohei Ohtani, of course. He is currently, as I mentioned earlier, in Japan, preparing to play in the World Baseball Classic. They had an exhibition game and lost on a play at the plate, which was pretty interesting. Ohtani will not be pitching in the World Baseball Classic. He will only be hitting, but he has attacked pitching thus far in spring training with a fervor. And word is that Ohtani, and publicly he is saying his only goal is to remain healthy for the whole season. He's saying the right things, but people who know him say, in addition to winning a championship, his only remaining personal goal is to win a Cy Young Award. This is something that I would have never thought possible after his second Tommy John surgery, internal brace sleeve, whatever you call the second one. He only reached, you have to throw 1 inning per game, per team game to qualify for an ERA title. So you need 162 innings pitched in a season to qualify for an ERA title. He has done that once. He did it in 2022 for the Los Angeles Angels. And that year he posted an ERA that ranked 4th in the league. I believe it was 219 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he struck out 220 guys or something. He came back last year. He looked pretty good for the most part, had a couple games where he struggled. And this year, the reason I never thought it was possible was because I didn't think he'd stay healthy enough, and I didn't think the Dodgers would frankly let him. They baby their pitchers. With the exception of Yamamoto last year, I don't think they've had a single pitcher qualify for the ERA title in the last 3 seasons. And those are guys who only pitch. This guy hits every day. He leads off every day. The Dodgers are known to baby their pitchers, but Ohtani seems like the kind of guy who, if he says, I want to throw 7 innings, you might leave him out there for 7 innings. I would never bet against this guy. And if they're saying that he wants a Cy Young, I'm not going to bet against him. Where do you stand on this whole thing?
This is going to be super interesting because like even Yamamoto last year, who was incredible last year, went 173 innings. So when you talk about that ERA title at 162, like, I mean, he gets there by 11 innings. Like even this guy who just does the pitching, it seems insane that this would happen, but this entire experience with Ohtani has been insanity. And so would it be crazy considering when you watch him pitch and how everything moves and how hard he throws, the stuff is incredible. I remember like early on in his career, it was like, oh shit. Like there was like a couple rocky starts, I think, to start. And then he just like was like, I am dominant. I am great at this. And then everybody was kind of like, well, maybe he should just pitch. And then after that is when the hitting really took off. And now everybody's, maybe you should just play outfield. Like, just make sure he is always hitting. The thing with how the Dodgers are built is the Dodgers are built to be so deep and so good that they just can't help but win the 95 games it takes to guarantee yourself a playoff spot. Like, that's how they're built. And I think they're like, projections have them winning like 103 games.
It's wild.
It's just like, that's nuts. And it's also something that, like, I don't think they care about at all. This is a team that has a lot of guys on the position player side that are like, do not take me out of games. And they allow those guys to do that, sometimes to their detriment. Like, Mookie Betts might have needed some time off, to start last season. Freddie Freeman, like, he's 36 now, 37. Like, it would be nice to give him some time, but he just, like, won't take his big ass teeth off the field. Like, there's just, they do allow some guys that sort of the freedom that is like, you know what, I'm just going to play every single day. So would they do that? I kind of, in this particular case, don't think so, just because when you look at their rotation and you look at getting into the playoffs, they need his arm. They need him in the playoff rotation. Like, you've got Yamamoto, if he's healthy, of course. They have to say that with any pitcher. That's great. If you have Snell, hopefully you're getting the good version of Snell when it comes to the playoff times. You did for a couple starts last year. And then after that, if it's not Shohei, it gets a little more murky. They have a lot of talent past that, but they're still, like, right now expecting to break camp with Roki Sasaki in their rotation, and that does not look like a good idea right now. He's looked terrible all spring. He was terrible all last year in that role. This guy that was like this generational pitcher just isn't there. So it's like they need him to pitch. If they were even deeper somehow, and if they make some sort of trade mid-season, or there's like some other thing where, like, it's possible that, like, Emmett Sheehan takes a huge step and he just looks like a fucking monster. Or some other guy, some other amazing prospect that they have. Maybe, I guess they would say, hey, like, go out and try to win it. I don't think we're going to get that fun, though. I wish we would. And I think he has the clout to be like, I'm doing this. But I don't know that he would do it. I don't know that he would do it. The biggest stat, you already alluded to it, like, he's thrown over 160 innings one time. The other two highs are 130 and 132. It's irresponsible to throw him 160 innings.
I don't disagree, but also he's one of one.
That's true.
I can't evaluate him using the same metrics that I use to evaluate any other player. It just doesn't make sense. Which also makes it harder to know what is the right and wrong answer, because we've never seen anything like this. We talked last week about the big picture concept of how teams are kind of handling their pitchers and protecting their arms, or attempting to protect their arms, even though injuries to elbows and shoulders are at an all-time high. And what we landed on last week was, it doesn't seem like any of these methods, whether you throw them out there every fifth day and let them go until they can't go anymore, or you baby them, nothing seems to work. Look, I'm very much, and I have no vested interest in the Dodgers winning. Frankly, as a Phillies fan, I hope that they don't. But what I do have a vested interest in as a baseball fan is watching Shohei Ohtani perform at the max of his abilities. If there was a way to guarantee, if they could guarantee, hey, you keep him under 120 innings and he will remain healthy and you can get another 4 years out of him pitching, I would sign up for that every single day. But I don't believe that exceeding that is going to increase. I think the elbow's either going to go or it's not. He seems more in tune with his body than maybe any other player I've ever seen. He says that he he struggled more the first couple of years with the Angels when they were trying to protect him. Remember when he would pitch and then the day before and after he pitched he would rest and then he would DH. He would have 2 days off from the lineup a week. And then he said to the Angels, "You got to stop that. Whatever you think my max limit is, go 3 steps beyond that, and that's what I can do." And they threw him out there, and he had 2 of the greatest seasons anyone has ever seen on both sides of the ball. Will he be able to replicate that in 2026? I don't see any reason to think that he wouldn't. And I want him to be able to pitch as long as possible, but I also want to just turn him loose. I would love to see him try and win a Cy Young and just kind of see what happens there. I don't. The other thing is the way the Dodgers protect their pitchers is they give them 2 months off at a time, and they say they put them on the IL with like a shoulder soreness or whatever, and then they come back for the playoffs ready to go. You can't do that with Shohei because he's got to hit. You can't IL him. I think what they will do is they will skip his turn in the rotation. They will find ways to put guys in there, utilize an off day. Now all of a sudden instead of 6 days of rest, he has 8 or 9, and just kind of give him a little bit more there. I think the max he'll be able to throw realistically is 25 starts. I think he can make 25 starts, and if that's the case, he needs a little bit over 6.5 innings per start to get, or 6.5, I guess, on the dot to get to that 162 innings pitched, and that seems like a tall order. I ultimately don't think he'll make it, but then again, if you get to September and he's like, "Hey, I want to start every 6th day, and I want to pitch 7 innings," that's what he did in 2022 with the Angels. He really wanted to get over that innings pitch threshold to qualify for the ERA title. If it's close, I could see it happening. I'm not going to bet against the guy, but also I wouldn't feel confident putting money on him throwing enough innings to make it happen.
Yeah, I just feel like if we're going to keep going down the Shohei pitcher road, if he's going to keep being able to do this, then we have to look at things somewhat realistically, even though nothing about him is realistic at all. But you just threw out 25 starts for him. Again, he's only done that one time. He only did that in 2022 with the 28 starts. Everything else, 23, 14. It's just not 10. There's just not that same thing. And it's you mentioned he had the operation on his arm that last time. If he does it, if it's a third one,
it's over.
How many people?
It's over.
Yeah, it's done. You also want to avoid that. You want to avoid that too if you're him. And maybe it doesn't matter and we only get 3 years out of it anyway. But the other thing too is they kind of can't give him the workhorse workload up front in the season. Because if he does something, if he needs Tommy John again, then you're taking his bat out of the lineup, and they actually can't afford that, right? He's not going to be able to hit with a fucked up elbow or whatever the thing is, or God forbid it's a shoulder thing next time. Who knows what the thing is going to be? It's just man, I would love to see him try. I would love to see him get to 180 innings to see what that even looks like.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll ever get to see it. And I think it would, and honestly, I think it would be bad business on the Dodgers' part. You just can't do that. He's your most important bat. And he's a really important arm for their playoff rotation.
I get it. And listen, I have different goals than the Dodgers. I don't care if they win or lose. So they're going to make decisions that are best for winning another championship and protecting him. It just, I take it with a grain of salt when they're we're going to do whatever it takes to protect him when every one of their pitchers has an arm fall off every season.
Yeah.
I've never seen a team with so many injuries. So if you're going to sit here and act like you know what's best for Shohei Ohtani, I'm not sure I believe you. And to be clear, he could win the Cy Young with less. It's not an inning requirement for the Cy Young. I've just never seen a pitcher a starting pitcher, not qualify for the ERA title and win the Cy Young. Usually that only applies to a closer.
His problem is like the bummer for him is like, well, I'm sorry, dude. Paul Skeens exists.
Sure. Yeah.
Chris Sanchez exists. Like, these are people that exist and are like, no offense, buddy, but they're better than you. Like, they're just better. And so, like, the Cy Young chances already kind of aren't great. And then, like, we haven't even accounted for whoever the random pop-up. Logan Webb could just all of a sudden throw a 2.5 ERA over 35 starts and, win 20 games or some shit like that. And then it's a wrap.
But the thing that I will say about that is you compare, and I'm only going to use Sanchez because I literally just looked at his numbers a minute ago on that discussion. You compare Ohtani's 2022 on the mound to Sanchez's 2025. And look, Sanchez was an 8-WAR guy last year. And Shohei had a better ERA with, I believe, more strikeouts. I'm not so sure. I sat here and nodded when you said it. I'll give you Skeens. I'll give you Skubal. And then I don't think we can definitively say any other pitcher is better than Ohtani when he is pitching at the level he's capable of.
Yeah, that's fair. I was about to be like, what about his teammate? But then I was like, but if it's at the level he's capable of.
Close. It's close. He's in that conversation is the thing. He's at least in the conversation. Let me ask you this, because this is something that we talk about all the time, and I have my opinion on this, but I want to get yours. If he does it, let's and we won't even put the Cy Young on for this year. Let's just say he pitches 4 more years as a pitcher, and they're all very, very, very good. Where does he fall in the athlete GOAT conversation for you? This is something I don't know that we've ever discussed what your personal top 10 is. Do you put Ali ahead of Jordan? We don't have to get into all that now, but where do you think Shohei slots in on that list if he has 4 more good pitching seasons and keeps hitting the ball?
I think that he is number 1.
Yeah. Yes, I'm glad you said that.
It's a bullet. Like, I don't think it's. I love Tom Brady is great, right? Michael Jordan obviously is wonderful. I just like. There's never been anything like this, and I think that like the argument that some people would talk about with like say Jordan is like, well, the popularity of the game and like all the stuff that surrounds what his career was, but I would say like this stretch of baseball has really been a huge shot in the arm for baseball as far as Ohtani goes. Not only kids in America, but internationally now picking up and trying to play baseball just because of this guy and trying to like change norms themselves, like trying themselves to be like, well, why couldn't I, hit and pitch, or why couldn't I why couldn't I switch pitch? Why couldn't, like all these different things that you maybe could do. I think that he has changed the game and really saved the game at a time that it needed a true face and a true superstar. Like really, we should be living in Aaron Judge's world right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't fucking think of Aaron Judge but 5 times a year. 5 times a year, I go to Fangraphs and I'm like, what's Aaron Judge doing? And I go, God damn, Aaron Judge, you're fucking good at baseball, man. I'm out there. That's it. That's it.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's number 1. I mean, it's an apples and oranges comparison. We've never seen anything like it. And one of the most difficult types of people to rank on those lists, you'll always have somebody. I feel like there's a consensus when you say greatest athlete of all time. People have their own interpretations of what that means, but you'll usually hear Ali, Brady, Jordan, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, whatever. To me, it means domination of your sport and clear cut. How much better are you at your sport than anyone else is at theirs, right? But you'll hear some people be like, well, what about Bo Jackson? Now you're taking a very literal definition of the word athlete. And yes, Bo Jackson is a better athlete than Tiger Woods by this one definition, but there's all this gray area. Now with Ohtani, you have everything.
And like now that Derrick Henry exists, can we not talk about fucking Bo Jackson anymore?
Well, but Derrick Henry's never hit a baseball 470.
No, that's totally true. That's totally true. That's totally
you know what I'm saying? And Bo Jackson was the most comparable to Shohei in that he was doing two ridiculously exclusive skill sets that people don't typically do together. And Bo Jackson was a freak and something that I will forever be like, I'm glad I got to witness that. But there was never a time where you looked at Bo Jackson, the baseball player, and said, that's the best baseball player in the world. He wasn't a top 50 player. Shohei is a top two hitter in the league and potentially a top three pitcher in all of baseball.
I also like if you were like, if I gave you a time machine and you could go back and just train Shohei Ohtani to play wide receiver in the NFL, I think you could do it.
Probably, yeah.
I think you could do it. He's fast as fuck, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Size? Just, we'll never see anything like it ever again. And everybody just appreciate every moment. We have been very cursed by the world to live through such a horrific timeline in so many different ways. I look at the news every day and I'm just like, I am living in literal hell on earth. And one of the only things that gets me through is like, man, yes, if I had been born, 20 years sooner, it would have been a smoother ride in a lot of ways. But I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have gotten to see Shohei, I guess 40 years soon, whatever the math is. This makes up for a little bit of it.
Dude, I have like a galaxy brain conspiracy theory that Shohei is like one of the reasons that we're all still alive, right? Like there's certain things where other countries are like, oh man, but Shohei would die. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, oh fuck, no more Tom Cruise movies? No, we can't, we can't go do that. So, yeah, shout out to Shohei and Tom Cruise for keeping America safe.
Indeed.
Facts. All right, let's wrap this up real quick with, Shohei's part of the WBC. We're about to get going. I'm super psyched on this thing. I know you are probably even more psyched than I am. I thought it'd be fun to go over who the betting favorites are to be the MVP of this thing. Right, we've got all these superstars. Such a big deal has been made about the American team and how everybody's playing. So I'm going to rip these off real quick for you, and I want you to find me the values. Again, we are not a betting podcast, but if you're going to go to Vegas, this is where you're laying the money, okay? Here we go. Best odds, my God, plus 750 is Aaron Judge. That's number one by a lot. Shohei Ohtani, number two, plus 1,100. Skeens, Bryce Harper. Skeens and Bryce Harper at plus 1,600. Schwarber and Gunnar Henderson at plus 1,800. Man, I love Gunnar Henderson, but this is the second time he's been on a list that I've been like, God damn, like, can he have one full fucking awesome season? Anyway, Logan Webb, Vlad Guerrero Jr., and Bobby Witt Jr. at plus 2,200. Juan Soto, Seiya Suzuki, Yamamoto, Cal Raleigh, Byron Buxton, and Murakami, all at plus 3,000. And then rounding out the list, Roman Anthony, Ronald Acuna Jr., Kazuma Okamoto from the New Blue Jays third baseman, and Julio Rodriguez plus 4,000. And last but not least, at plus 6,000 is Fernando Tatis Jr. Who stands out? Where are you putting the money?
Well, now that Johan Rojas is out due to steroid use, it's anything. How funny is that?
Shout out to Johan and Jurickson Profar.
Jurickson Profar, man. Getting busted twice for steroids is wild. I'll never understand how that happens.
And like the real ones too, like the fucking like definitely trying to get better at baseball drugs.
Yeah, not the Manny Ramirez like, oh, I was trying to keep my pregnancy in order. Remember when he did that and he's like, well, it was to control my period. It's like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I pulled up this list here. It's kind of surprising to me that Aaron Judge is really like 50% ahead of the next closest guy.
It's wild.
I love Aaron Judge, but that's interesting to me. A couple things that are interesting to me. I guess being a DH doesn't affect your MVP odds in a short form tournament. Versus like, because you remember before Shohei, no DH had ever won MVP. It was a whole thing. Now it's like, yeah, Schwarber has a better shot, as good a shot as anybody. I don't know how Gunnar Henderson gets ahead of Bobby Witt Jr. I don't know what I'm missing there exactly. I think that I think that the winning player is going to be from the winning team, and I think that the winning team is going to be the Dominican Republic.
Love that.
That is what I'm going with. They are my picks to win the whole thing, which means it would be foolish of me to recommend anybody other than a player on the Dominican Republic. So looking at those players, you got Vladimir Guerrero plus 2,200, Juan Soto plus 3,000, Ronald Acuna. Oh no, he's on Venezuela, right? Julio Rodriguez plus 4,000, and then Fernando Tatis is a part of the DR as well, plus 6,000. I am going to go with a guy there, and maybe it's just because I was looking up his stats last night because I'm in the middle of an assignment writing roast jokes about his baseball team. I'm going to go with Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez has, I'll be the first one to say, it slipped under my radar a little bit as really just an elite player in the major leagues. He got overshadowed a little bit last year by Cal Raleigh. He's only, 24 or something? 25? I couldn't believe how much younger he was than I realized. He's a hell of a ball player, and at plus 4,000, I mean, this thing is a crapshoot any way you slice it. So you might as well throw some money on a little bit of a long shot. So if it hits, it's worth the payoff. Give me Julio Rodriguez at plus 4,000.
Love that pick. Love that pick. There are two picks that I think, there's one that's like my head and there's one that's my heart. One that's my head is very much going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think at plus 2,200, that's a decent place to lay the money there. Here's my sales pitch here. The World Baseball Classic is a tournament. And just like the MLB playoffs are a tournament, right? You lose, you're out, whatever. I know there's like groups and then you get out of the group and then it's single elimination and all that stuff. In those types of games where every at bat matters, we already know kind of how the U.S. is going to pitch, where like these electric starters are going to go 3 innings and then you're going to see a bunch of electric bullpen arms like one after the other and things like that. The most important thing in those cases are guys that can put the bat on the ball. And of the people, all the people really on this list, nobody's better at getting the bat on the ball than Vlad. Like, the guy only strikes out under 14% of the time. Like, the bat is on the ball and it's hit really fucking hard all the time. And so I love him as a player. That team is excellent. That would be a fun win. It would be a fun little piece of revenge for Vlad after coming home empty-handed with no World Series. So Vlad would be that pick. Here's my out of left field one. And really, I should say out of center field one. I like Byron Buxton. And here's why. Here's why. Byron Buxton is one of those ones where, like, if it's the right week or a couple weeks, he is the best player that you've like ever seen play baseball.
Yep.
And so I feel like throwing a little bit down on the fact that, like, with the bat, this will be those couple of weeks makes sense. And the other thing about him is he's not getting replaced on defense. Like, I looked at Roman Anthony at plus 4,000 and I was like, oh, that's kind of a fun one. But like, if it gets to the 9th inning in a tight game and fucking Mark DeRosa doesn't sub Pete Crow Armstrong in to play left field for fucking Roman Anthony, I'm going to kill Mark DeRosa. And I love him. One of my favorite Cubs second basemen of all time. So yeah, for me, where my money's going is I'm going to try the electricity of Byron Buxton, but my brain says the DR takes it and that Vlad is the champion.
I like that pick. One other thing, two other things I'd like to touch on here. Number one, you laid out the pitching plans. I don't think it's smart money to put any money on any pitchers. They're going to be on pitch limits. They cannot contribute as much as the hitters can. It is what it is, right? So I would not recommend that. Here's what I find funny. At the start of this episode, we went through the top 100 players, and you got down to like number 30. And there are a bunch of names I'm hearing on here that we covered in that list. Fernando Tatis was, I believe, 14. Julio Rodriguez was 9. Ronald Acuna was 10. Before we officially started recording, when we were texting back and forth, you said Roman Anthony was, I think, 33 or something like that, right? Cal Raleigh was in the top 10. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was in the top 20. Juan Soto was number 5. Bobby Witt was number 3. Vlad Guerrero was in that top 10. Logan Webb was somewhere in those low 20s when you were going through those guys. Gunnar Henderson was 13. Kyle Schwarber was 21. Paul Skeens was 4 or 6 or something like that. Ohtani was 1. Judge was 2. And yet, with the exception of those last 3 guys, Judge, Ohtani, and Skeens, who has the 4th best odds on this list? Are actually tied for 3rd. Nobody, at the exception of Ohtani and Judge, has better odds than Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper has this aura where you can disrespect him and be like, he's not a top 30 player anymore. But short series, spotlight on, boy, it sure seems like there's nobody in the world other than the 2 obvious ones that people would rather have at the plate than Bryce Harper.
Not many guys I would rather have when I needed the hit at the plate than Bryce Harper. That's a fact. That's a fact. That Phillies run a couple years ago was so fucking fun, and he was right at the heart of it.
Yep.
So
absolutely. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us. This was a fun episode. I'm so excited we got through one without anybody's computer crashing or anything. This is delightful. We should do this more often.
Yeah. How about it? Shout out to your internet capabilities today.
I did get through to the entire end of the episode. I went to hit mute on the microphone, and I realized that my microphone has it has not been in the settings this entire time. It's been recording off my laptop. So hopefully the sound doesn't suck. But
I think you sound great.
We made it to the end of the episode. We talked about everything we wanted to talk about. This is the way the podcast is supposed to go. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Follow us on Instagram at BarkerBall Media, at the Pat Barker, at J_suing, all of that. Yeah, just give us a follow, give us a subscribe, and leave the mean comments about me, down below. I will say, I don't think I did the thing that I hate about myself today, so they might not be able to pick up on it, but they'll get it eventually.
Congratulations, Pat. I don't know what it is, but I can't wait to try to figure it out.
Well, when I listen back, I'm sure I'll be dead wrong. Anything to say before we get out of here?
No, man, it was a pleasure. Always is. Can't wait for next week.
Love it. Until next time, that's Jeff Suing. I'm Pat Barker. We are the Baseball Buddies. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.